And there's a great way to start out another biddle on Saturday night. What's going on?
Hi,
G'day
everybody.
all, how are you all?
All right, now you can talk.
I feel
We had a hard
loose.
we had a hard time starting the stream here.
There we go.
Oh,
All right, so last week we had a challenge of Draugar OS, and I guess some people tried it, some people didn't, but I tried it, and it actually installed right away the first time. Thumbs up, I love that. Worked. I didn't get a whole lot of testing time. I didn't test it like as far as Steam or anything like that, but for the time I did test it, it was working great. I didn't have any issues with it at all. Zeb?
Yeah, I installed it. I had the usual issue that I'm getting with a lot of distros at the moment, that for whatever reason, they can't seem to start up with 3 monitors connected. And I don't know what it is. If I disconnect one of the 4Ks or the widescreen and just leave 2, it's fine. And obviously, if I have 1, it's fine. The minute I have 3, it goes all the way through and it gets there to the live CD, and then it goes, I don't know what to do. I don't know where to display it. And even if you then unplug one, it doesn't recover. So, but that's not a major issue, because how many people run stuff with 3 monitors? Like a lot of people don't.
Ridiculous.
Have 2 monitors. So it gets there. It's up and running. It's great. The only annoyance for me, and I understand it's because of the theme and the way it looks, was the panels. Okay, they're a third of the way down from the top. Fine,
Yep.
Yeah, makes it look like a nice gaming console. Then you open up, let's say, your browser, which goes bang, full screen, which immediately tells me someone's using a laptop to develop it on, because only laptop developers go full screen with their browser. And then I can't see the panel behind. How do I get back to the panel if I've got a full screen browser? I had a chat with Thomas and we worked it out, and there's a little hover point on the left-hand side where the panel would be. And if you leave your mouse hovering there, it brings it to the front. Great if you've got a single monitor, but trying to get that hover point when it's going to the monitor on the left and you're coming back to the monitor on the right, it's a bit like trying to grab that 1 pixel wide screen and move it. So what I had to do is I had to push it up to the top and make it permanently there. And then I went on to test everything. And the thing I liked about it is, although you've put an awful lot of other bits and pieces into it, even when those bits and pieces don't work, they don't interfere from the rest of the system. So you've got all these extra gaming bits in, and I couldn't get some of them to work. But unlike some distros where something doesn't work, you go to fire it up and everything just freezes and you're locked and you're stuck and you have to boot. This just says, okay, I'm not going to work, but you can carry on using the rest of the system. So I liked the way, and I don't know if that was a deliberate philosophy of yours or how you've done it, but it was very, very clever.
The reason that works is because the bits and pieces that I've added that I coded myself are coded mostly in Python and interact with as little of the system as possible. They try to stay very, I wouldn't say they're containerized, but and they do have access to the system, but the way they interact with the system is as little as possible, like just minuscule. Like Draugar Store, it literally runs 1 command to your system, maybe 2, and that's just notifying you when something's been installed and to apt to install something, and that's it. All it does to interact with your system otherwise.
Excellent.
Everything else is just right there together.
Yeah. So other than that, it was fine. It worked. It did what it was supposed to do. It installed Steam. It installed OBS. It installed everything that I need to do. And as I say, apart from the unusual theming, I wouldn't have guessed that it wasn't meant to be just another distribution as such. There was nothing, as I say, other than the main theming side of it and the extra bits that you'd added. You'd done it very well, and I'm looking forward to seeing further developments and to see whether or not you can get those other gaming elements fully integrated and fully working. It'd be really, really good. And I think Colin said before the show, the only thing that would be really, really cool if you could do it is to have your panels slide, because all gaming consoles, you can move them to the left and then move them to the right. And I just don't think that's going to be possible with an XFCE panel. You're going to have to come up with some other little trickery to
I'm
try
working
and
on
make
that.
it emulate that sort of thing. But other than that, yeah, it was good.
I'll be honest, I don't want to use XFCE. I really don't. But I am working on possibly having a replacement. But for now, I'm using the XFCE.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
Dan, what'd you think?
I thought it was, it certainly has a ton of potential. I thought it was great. It's Ubuntu based, so I mean, things just run on it, and there's a lot of available software, so that makes a ton of sense. The XFCE bits, they work fine, and you can make it do what you need it to do. It's very configurable, so it was an excellent choice for a base. I think this is going to help you launch into where you want to go. I see where you're going with the panels. I know people think they're weird, but if you're operating it with a console controller or something like that, it makes a lot of sense to have them where they're at, because you don't want to have to go all the way up to the top or all the way down to the bottom to be able to get to your panels. You're operating it with your thumbs, so you need to be able to get to somewhere close. You don't want to have to go all over the screen for that. And I guess, like Zeb brought up, like the full screen browser thing, well, that's kind of what you'd want if you were not controlling it like from a mouse. So that in a way that does make sense. If you're watching this on your full screen TV, you're doing it all that way, like your gaming console, it'll do all that. It's kind of great. It's got a lot of potential.
Okay.
I'm looking forward to seeing the updated little bits that you've put in there, and seeing those work, seeing how they work. I think it's amazing. You wrote a welcome screen, but nobody knew about it because it didn't open automatically.
I didn't see it until you guys said something.
That's my fault.
No, that's okay. I think that is an excellent thing, and when you get that to launch on start, that'll be great. It'll be excellent.
And I think we investigated that on the Telegram chat earlier this week, and we just discovered that was just a file path.
It's just a pathing thing, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's already been fixed in the development issue.
Yeah.
So.
Nice. Colin?
Yes, I thought it was quite good. I fumbled through the install. I don't know, it's probably just my rustiness on System Back, but fumbled through that. I don't know whether I was doing something wrong or whether something quirky was going on with System Back. I'm not sure, but I managed to get through it. I'm going to make another video of the install itself, so I will do that. But I was tweaking my brains out, Rocco. I was having a lot of fun. It was really good. I just thought I'd put my own little spin on how it could look, and a bit of a gaming wallpaper and stuff. All your specific applications, like your welcome screen and the Draugar store, like you mentioned, I think last week, they need a little bit of refreshing to make look really nice, because it looks just looks very plain as opposed to the rest of the system. So yeah, if that had a little bit of work, that would look really good. Like you mentioned, I wasn't pressing the back buttons. I was trying to press the close button, so was having issues closing, and it kept freezing on me. And I think I was pressing the back button before I made that video, but I had a whole heap of windows open or something.
Yeah.
I was doing some really quirky things. So
that is because I'm still learning the Python GPK interface.
Right.
And because of that, I'll be brutally honest, I'm still learning how to make Windows dynamic. So So my applications are going to be very buggy. I think I just recently learned partially how to make them dynamic. So before I even think about taking it out, I'm going to try to update it so that it stops piling up all those windows.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what was happening, and that's why I was trying to use the close button, because those windows kept piling up. So, and the other thing was Yeah, the welcome screen was quite good. The drivers did not work for me. It did not open. I left it for a while, but it didn't open. Now, whether it doesn't open if you don't have any issues with drivers and stuff, I don't know. But it definitely didn't open for me.
Okay.
And I mapped I actually mapped the whisker menu to the super key.
Yeah.
That way you can easily find your panel.
Good idea.
But I have to admit, and I did say in my video, I was getting frustrated because I couldn't find my open windows, and I was minimizing everything, and I was sort of fumbling through that, and then I realized, yes, you can open the panel by scrolling the mouse to the left-hand side, but that's when I changed it with the panel down the bottom and another big panel in the middle and stuff. So I was having a huge amount of fun with that. It's just the tweaking I just love to do. So, but overall, it was working fine. I didn't do any gaming. I'm not much of a gamer, as the guys probably know, but I knew that there was a few people probably giving you feedback on that anyway. So I just left it at just tweaking my brains a bit. So other than that, I like the theming. The theming's not too bad, actually. I quite like it. It looked nice.
Okay.
Yeah. So keep up the good work, Thomas. I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you.
All right. Well, we got a couple new people here. Tux, Stop, Derek, and Clammy.
Hey, guys.
Hi,
How are you?
Hi guys. Hey guys.
Allie, what'd you think?
Yeah, I thought it quite well actually. I done a review of it before we had the challenge on it, and we already addressed why some of the things are in quotation marks broken, if you will, which is going ahead with. I haven't really got much to add to what Zeb already said or Dan. I did play games in it. I even downloaded the Euro trucking game just to see it run on my old i5 machine, and it did. I had no problems with that at all. Thomas, Steam on the virtual machine didn't want to open, but on bare metal it does. So that was good. So I got Steam installed and downloaded. It ran really well, not a problem. I do like the theming. And I was thinking, you know how Steam has like a big window, if you like. I'm trying to think of the name they call it in Steam.
Big picture mode.
Yeah, picture mode, thank you, Zeb. Yeah, if there's something like that you could do for those with the console controllers, so all the icons are bigger, it makes it easier for them. So you can have two types of desktops. And at launch, you can either go into your normal desktop, in your case XFCE at the moment, you change it to whatever you wish to change it to. And if you're going to go straight into gaming mode, have like a gaming display, which makes things easier, if you see what I mean. Well, apart from that, yeah, it was brilliant. It ran flawlessly, and of course, being based on Ubuntu, all the apps were there that you would ever need. So, yeah, thumbs up, mate. Doing well on this.
All right, thank you.
Sweet as.
Nice. All right, System, you were helping out in the back end of things. Did you get the chance to try it out though?
Yeah, I did actually get the chance. I actually did everything just with this.
Nice.
No mouse, no keyboard, nothing. I actually went in because I know my way around XFC pretty well. I just dumped a script in that allowed me to populate all of the controls through the actual controller, because I'm also working on another component, trying to get it to work. I have an Xbox controller that I have been using, both the 360. So I have this. I've been testing this along with something else to try to get some changes to get things to work. It still doesn't pull right, but I have fixed the other issue that's going on. Once I've got it completed, then I'll put a push up for you so you can check it out, and then we'll work on that. I can't guarantee it's going to be within the next week or so. It just really depends, because I've got something else going on that's broken that doesn't make sense. So, but anyway, but a standard Logitech controller out of the box worked. I was able to, again, throw the configuration in, but I also added more workspaces so I could get around the issue of having problems where I would leave something in full screen and then I couldn't get where I wanted to go. Well, I just programmed the bottom two buttons on the controller when it's on the desktop to be able to switch between the workspaces so that I could go from the first workspace to the last workspace or from workspace to workspace. So then I was able to load up a game, leave it up, load up something else in another workspace, and then do something somewhere else, and then just switch back and forth between the workspaces. Kind of like what the PlayStation series, the way that the PlayStation designs their thing, where you can switch back to the main menu and you can do all your stuff in that. I also really liked the interactive keyboard, and I programmed that so I could press the Logitech button and it would bring the keyboard up, and then I could just scroll around and type things in and just search.
That fixes a bug. Yes.
Are you gonna make that config file available so that people with an Xbox controller can download it and tweak it?
So again, it's not working with the Xbox controller yet.
Right.
It only works with the Logitech controller because I have the patches required already because I need them to work somewhere else. Gotcha. I applied those patches to it to see if it works.
Right.
It has got me a little bit farther on the Xbox, but there's still the issues that I'm dealing with is the polling problem where it'll hang if it loses the wireless controller part.
Gotcha.
But it seems if I plug it in directly via USB, no problems whatsoever. It's there. But so for right now, I've just been testing things before I try to implement other things across. So anyway, that's what I got working. So yeah.
Very nice. System, there's a question in chat about Xbox controllers working with VLC and SM Player. If you can
I don't know
answer
if I can
that.
Answer that.
You're the only guy I know that would be able to answer that.
I do know that in because of the way. Okay, so XFCE has the ability that you can go in and you can actually stub out your controller settings. Like basically, you can do keyboard shortcuts and all of that. In those applications, if the application doesn't have an override for that function, or if you can have a key combination that would be available in that application, you can actually program that so that when a profile loads, or XFCE loads a profile for that application, it will override those settings with the controller settings.
Could you say that again in English?
It has a thing that makes things work whenever an application loads.
Nice. There you go.
There you go.
We've got a thing, Rocco. We have a thing.
Well, I mean, it's kind of the same thing with the Steam overlay component. They have profiles per games when you load your controllers. Same functionality is available within XFCE itself as long as there are key combinations available, like key things that you can do.
Nice.
I'm just teasing you, man.
Okay.
Although I will say the thing with the Steam overlay and the controllers, you got to have it plugged in before you load Steam or load the game. So
I think I fixed that.
You fixed that?
I think I fixed that.
What are you?
Fixing
things. I don't know, but I do all kinds of little things like that. You just look at my GitHub, you'll see that I do all kinds of weird stuff. But no, I think I fixed that. What I did is I put a wait in the application so that if it doesn't detect, it just goes to a wait state.
Right.
And it just waits, and then it'll load. But you have to do that within the actual detection of the controller, not Steam itself. So you're not dependent on Steam.
Okay.
It's dependent on the application loading. The driver
Right.
is what you're dealing with, not so much Steam.
Okay.
So yeah.
All right. Tuck Stop. Did you get a chance to try out Draugar or no?
No, I didn't. I gather it's a is it a Ubuntu based or?
Yeah, it's based on Ubuntu. It's more or less a.
Yeah.
It's all good, man. It's not a necessity to try it out. It's just something that was. You're the only guy here, so it's no big deal. Just teasing you. Derek, what's going on, man?
Nah, not much.
I gather it's a OS kind of optimized for gaming. Is that right?
Yes, very much so.
Absolutely.
Cool. I first need to figure out what game I like.
Fair enough.
Well, you may be like Colin. He's not a gamer. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I've never played a single game, so I'm really new to all that gaming stuff. But one of these days, I might ask you guys for a starter.
Oh, it's definitely Rocket League. Definitely.
Skyrim.
Oh yeah,
Or ballistic overkill, or
Yeah.
it sucks.
yeah. I installed Steam for the first time last week, and I need to download some games. So
There you go.
Derek, what's
Yes,
happening?
Not much. Just winding down at the end of the day.
I hear you.
Mm.
So, did you get a chance to try out Draugar?
No, because I didn't want Tuck Stop to be the only one that
Right.
did that well. I feel bad for the guy, so
yeah, thanks.
I'm gonna hang out with him this evening.
Okay.
Such a gentleman, Derek. Yeah.
Yeah. Always thinking of others.
Yeah.
Climate?
I tried it. I'm on it right now. Everything pretty much just worked. The only few issues I did have were mainly with his programs, which we talked about in Telegram, but he's working on those. But as far as the system goes, I had no problems. It was the first time I've ever used a distro with system back, and I didn't have any issues installing it. I even got it to dual boot with my Windows installed just fine. I really like the choice of kernel, using an updated low latency kernel. I thought that was really interesting. And I think it really has a market, and I think it does a lot of things right, or aims to do a lot of things better than what SteamOS did. And I think that SteamOS just basically being Debian that auto starts Steam in big picture mode, what have it, but you're limited to Steam. I think what you're going for is, a lot better and targets a lot more gamers out there, I think, that want to give Linux a try. But yeah, I did have some weird issues with an Xorg config file, but honestly, I'm sure that's probably an Ubuntu issue. I haven't tried. The only Ubuntu I've tried on here is Kubuntu when 1804 first came out, and I didn't have the issue there. But yeah, I'm sure it's just one of those NVIDIA driver things. So I don't think it has anything to do with your distro in particular. Right now, I'm not even using an Xorg config file, and everything just seems to be running great. I have a lot of controllers. I wish I had tried out controllers, because I have the Xbox One, the Xbox 360, the PS4, and PS3 controllers.
Right.
So I would consider giving those a try once you get things updated a bit more, and we'll see if we can help fix any of those issues. But I have no complaints. It's a really great distro. It's got I think it's targeting the right audience. There's not really many gaming distros out there, especially one that's aiming to be centered around being controlled through a controller. And I think you're doing a wonderful job.
All right.
Well, nice. So it sounds like you're like, with all the controllers, you're not a gamer. You fall into the Colin area. Well, Thomas, was it anything like you expected? Were they too hard on you in the beginning?
No. I was expecting people to start rattling off bug after bug after bug after bug that I hadn't come across yet, because the way I develop my operating system is I have it running in a virtual machine, and I make the changes there, use system back to make an ISO, and then upload it from that virtual machine that's running it to my SourceForge. So I get testing while I'm developing it, but beyond that, I get no testing. So it's really detrimental to my development progress, but it works for my skill set. So I am happy that there aren't a lot of bugs that people have found. Sorry, my mother is distracting me. But yes, I am happy that the bugs that you guys have encountered are mainly with just the applications that I bundled with it personally, which you could basically consider bloatware. Thankfully, most of those apps you can uninstall if you so choose. Literally just search anything through app search Draugar and you'll find them all. That are
Yeah,
in
but
there.
then it's not Draugar OS, it's Ubuntu, so that would completely defeat the object. So no, what you should be saying to them is
Well-
learn how to use them.
The LSB release though does report as Draugar as long as you ran that update thing. Which if you ran an update and it updates the LSB release package, then it does reset that back to saying Ubuntu. So I need to figure out how to get it so that when you update that, it still says Draugar.
You can make it immutable. Using the chatters command, you can make it immutable, so not even the update can rub it off. Even if you lose, you can't uninstall it.
Yeah, you just
make it
flag it as
mutable.
don't touch me, leave me alone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Use chatter. Look up the command chatter, CHATTR.
Oh yeah, that one. Okay, I actually ran across
It's by
that.
accident.
Yeah. I ran across that command earlier this week when I was trying to overclock my 1050 Ti, and yeah.
Yeah, you run that command, can make it immutable. You can't even delete it as root with an RM command. So,
Right. Okay, I'll have a look at that. That'll probably be the easiest thing to do.
And that will
Well-
stop Ubuntu. Ubuntu might complain about it, the updates a lot, but meh. Exactly.
Thomas, you were talking about the YouTube comments on a video. We were easier on you than those comments. Some of
Oh
them.
yeah, way easier. Way easier. Like,
I want the link to that video, actually. I want to have a look at that.
One of the biggest things you're going to have to learn, Thomas, yeah? Don't read the comments.
Yeah, that's no good.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
learned,
Or if
I
you
learned
do, have a
that
thick
years
skin
ago.
about it and don't worry about it.
I learned that
Yeah.
years ago when people were doing reviews of peppermint, and I'm really passionate about peppermint. So when somebody comes along and says peppermint's rubbish because of this and rubbish because of that, and it's just a mishmash of this, that, and the other, I'm like, no,
Can't picture that.
watch the video, make your own mind up. Don't look at the comments.
okay, fair enough.
Try out Spearmint.
Experiment respin or
Never heard of Spearmint. I've
Probably
heard of
doesn't exist.
Well, actually, it
Probably
does, 'cause I
doesn't.
think Garth made one, and he called it spearmint.
Oh yeah, it might have.
Could have been an experiment, was it?
Oh, got him.
Oh,
Got him.
That's
We're going to be
almost as
taking
bad
off
as
here
Dust
for that
Geek.
one.
Sorry about that.
Dust Geek's ADE joke.
So anyway,
Which he forced
On
Michael
those-
to finish today, which was great.
Michael started that.
on those
I
minty notes,
I didn't start puns.
where's our next set that we're moving on to?
I didn't start bad jokes. Speaking of bad jokes, why did the cow not want
Oh
to
my
cross the
gosh.
road? He
'Cause
didn't want
he
to
could-
brisket.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Boy.
Really? You're on my
Dad jokes 101, right?
There's the mute button.
So, Thomas, are you going to continue with your specific
You're welcome.
applications or not?
Draugar Welcome, I am going to continue working on. The store, we're going to see how that goes.
I think it's a good idea to have it there. I really do, because it makes it specific to Draugar OS.
Yeah.
It just needs to be, you got a little bit of work to do on it, I suppose. But I think it's a great idea anyway.
Yeah, you've got some niche stuff there that might be
Yeah.
valuable.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of what I'm working on right now with it has been mostly increasing performance for Windows games, because I know a lot of gamers love Windows games, and that's the largest market for games. So this next version is going to have DXVK installed by default to help with when you're running games straight through Wine without Steam. And then there were also a few other things that I've done already. But
So, when can we expect this next release?
I am aiming for Beta 1 to land somewhere around mid-November. Good.
That gives me time to fix the other stuff.
I'm hoping to have my stable release for 7.4.1 or 7.4. Whatever that last digit ends up being, to land somewhere around February at the latest. Hopefully earlier. We'll see how that goes. But stable release for 7.4. X being at the latest February.
So when Rocco asks you a question about when something's going to be ready, you can just always reply with, "When it's ready, Rocco."
When it's ready, yeah.
Yeah, when it's ready. When it's
Yeah, that's what I keep getting from elementary. Yeah. But
It's ready when it's ready and not before.
the Juno Beta 2 is out. Who's tried it? Where's chicken when I need him?
I tried it
Nah,
in
that's-
VirtualBox.
That's for the developers only, Rocco.
I know. That's what it says. If you're a highly skilled technical developer, I just
Hands
didn't
off.
read that part.
Always try beta 3, never try beta 2.
Zeb, what'd you think of it?
Yeah, it's elementary.
I know you're not an elementary guy, but come on.
No, but it works. It works well. I understand their ethos of locking everything down because then you can't muck up the look and feel of it and the way it works by bringing in some weird GTK3 theme of your own that then makes a mishmash of the icons. There's just little things about it that irk me. Like I cannot stand the Windows controls on the left of the monitor. I'm not Chinese. I read, if you're going to close something, my muscle memory goes up there. It's in the top right-hand corner. I don't want to do anything in the left. I'm not left-handed or ambidextrous. So those little things irk me, but I can understand why they've done them. And I watched an EB YouTube stream on the old version of it, and he was explaining why you don't need to worry about where the buttons are. You can just minimize it and maximize it by clicking it back on the icon. And then, again, that's just a concept that they have for their design and feel. And yeah, it's really, really nice. And if you can just not read the comments, it works really, really well.
Well, I personally change every distro I'm on, including KDE Neon here, to put the close up on the left. So I'm the complete opposite, man.
But then you're a single click person, so it says it all.
Yeah. What do you mean by that, Zeb?
I don't mind having it on the right or the left. It's when they split the buttons up and you have some on the right and some on the left. There's too much mouse travel.
Well, now that you mention that,
yeah,
I put the close on the left and the minimize on the right and remove everything else. Because I can double click the title bar to maximize it.
Yeah.
So I don't need the maximize button, but that just separates it from me. So I know if I want to close it, I'm going to the left.
When I started using Linux, those 3 buttons were on the top left-hand corner. And then when I started using 1804 and Linux Mint, everything was on the right-hand corner. And I just haven't changed it back because I figure they use Chromebooks and Windows computers at school, and starting to use those and having my buttons in the top right hand makes it so it's a little bit more understandable for my brain and not having to where are the buttons again?
I've almost got the feeling that when they first did it, because I think it was Ubuntu that first started to do that with the stuff on the left. And I'm pretty sure that it was because the developers said, oh, Windows is on the right, we must be on the left. We're not being anything the same as Windows, so we're going to chuck them all on the left just so we can say we're not Windows.
Yeah, I could not get used to the buttons on the left. It drove me nuts.
No, I actually thought moving the buttons to the left made a lot of sense because when Ubuntu did it, especially when they created Unity, everything is on the left.
That's right.
Dock was on the left. The dash was on the left. When you maximize Windows, the buttons always were going to be on the left regardless of what you did when the windows weren't maximized. So having everything on the left just made sense. You never travel to the right side of the screen for anything. Even when your browser's maximized, where's your forward and back buttons? Everything's on the left.
See, I knew I did it for a reason.
Yeah.
I have those buttons on the right because I don't want to go over there and accidentally hit the system tray or the application menu, and also pull that up when I'm trying to hit the red X because I'm a little bit clumsy sometimes. So that's just a personal thing. Everybody's different, of course.
Yeah, that's true.
I just want it so I can move it where I want it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the key, really,
That's-
is to have a system that you can put it where you want it.
Well,
That's
Elementary
exactly-
does have their tweak tool, don't they? That you can move those buttons.
You
But
can move
you
them on
can't.
some of the apps. That doesn't like you can do Deconf Editor and you can change some of them, but it only changes on certain apps. It doesn't
Yeah.
work on everything.
It's
So
they've
it
gone
doesn't do
they've
a
gone the way of deepin.
idea where you
Where,
can have them anywhere, literally.
and I think they've gone the way in deepin where you can change the theme on deepin as much as you want. Everything's great, and yet the deepin apps are all the same way they were beforehand. They totally ignore what you're trying to do with them, and that's the first thing I installed. GNOME tweak tool, move it to the right. Why
Yep.
is
Well,
it
deep
on the left?
in Elementary, their philosophies are very similar. I mean, they're creating their own, ecosystem, their own operating system with their own custom apps. They're similar projects, yeah.
But I think, and it does come down to the fact that you either want to use it or you don't want to use it. But I find it a little bit frustrating that just simple little things like that, where people want to have a choice to have this side or that side, should be there, by default.
Yeah, but I think we're
Because-
going away from that, Colin. It seems like everybody wants to go the way of this is the way we're going to do it, and you're going to like
Yeah.
it, instead
I
of
know.
giving you the choices. Like when I first came to Linux, it was almost like, that's why I was, drawn to KDE because you had all the choices there. But we slowly are going to the point of elementary, deep in, where you're not going to have a whole lot of choices left. Even GNOME is that way.
And when you get out of Linux, I mean, think of Chromebooks and things like that. I mean, you don't have a lot of options there either. So.
Yeah, you're very locked in there.
And your option is, Colin, use something else.
That's right. That's what I say. It's either you use it or you don't use it. Comes down to that, really, at the end of the day. But I don't know. I just think they're making decisions for people, and you're right. You use it or you don't use it, but they're just making decisions for people that, whereas people might not want to use it that way, but they love to use elementary, right? That's the thing. So I don't know. I think it's a draw card to bring people in if you got the options. That's all I'm saying. But
Yep. I think let's put it this way. KDE has found out that it can be a double-edged sword where people were drawn to all the options, but some people are drawn away from all the options. So,
Yeah, like me.
Yep. What do you run, Tuxed Up?
Oh, past couple years I've been using Integros or Arch. Past year and a half, it's mostly been Arch with.
But what desktop environment do you run?
On my laptop, it's XFCE with i3, and on my desktop, it's I've got GNOME and SFCE.
Nice.
I like GNOME because it's kind of doing a lot of decisions, although I sometimes like to have choices, but it keeps it simple for me so I don't have to mess with settings too much. That was an issue I had with KDE many years ago. I loaded that thing, boy, it had so many settings. I just closed that thing and never looked back. But
It's all good. It's all good.
See, that's like the perfect example of people being drawn away, taken away from KDE because of the amount of settings. But
yeah, but also another part of me says, what am I missing by not using KDE? I don't know. So there's that too.
well, let me tell you, you're missing a lot.
Of headaches.
No, stop it.
well, there is settings, and there can be too many, but you can also have some simple defaults of change rather than just an overwhelming amount, I believe. But
yeah, I should give it a shot one of these days.
Well, if you do it on Kubuntu, not Neon, because Kubuntu
absolutely.
is a much better out-of-the-box experience.
Yep, I
Well,
agree.
let's put it this way: if you're an Arch user or you like Arch, you may want to look at Neon because it's more of a clean install with nothing else installed. Like when you put in a
Kubuntu has a minimal option. That's irrelevant.
No, that's not irrelevant. That is totally not irrelevant.
Yes, it is, because what's the difference between Neon and Kubuntu with the minimal? Nothing.
Okay, so have you tried the minimal option
Yes.
in Kubuntu?
Yes.
And you had no issues?
No.
None. Zero.
None. Zero.
That's a good thing because I have tried the minimal install on certain distros and they leave out some back-end libraries that should be there.
That's not what Kubuntu does. You're referring to Ubuntu Budgie. Each flavor decide what is pulled out and what isn't.
And Mate had a problem too. Just
they chose to remove things that they shouldn't have, I suppose. I know Ubuntu Budgie did, but Kubuntu. The reason why I know Kubuntu didn't remove things that shouldn't have been removed, I chose what to remove.
I could also install the KDE on Arch as a
that's what I was going to say. Just
and Tergos has a great KDE version if you can actually get it installed. So, but it sounds like you don't have any problems with getting Tergos installed.
Past year and a half, I moved away from Tergos and Manjaro because occasionally it would create some hassle with Grub, and it wasn't big issues, but it was fixable, but it just kept driving me nuts. So
now I will warn everybody about Antergos. I had 2 people about a week ago tell me that they were having problems with adware or something with one of the ISOs that they downloaded from the Antergos website. So,
really?
Yeah, there was a problem with
what happened? One of the mirrors get messed up or what?
Must have. Last Sunday I was doing one of my live streams, and one of the guys actually in the Zoom chat actually shared his screen with us and showed us like some weird adware going on in the installer of Antergos.
Oh wow!
And then a couple of days later, I had somebody on Mastodon. A couple of days later, somebody on Mastodon told me the same thing. So,
Yeah, I believe he torrented it down, but he managed to get the torrent from the Antergos site itself.
Yeah.
So
it's always good to check your ISOs.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Well, speaking of your chat last Sunday, I think I'd like to continue a conversation that we didn't really finish.
Okay.
And that was KDE or GNOME.
Yes, I would love to talk about that now that Michael's here.
I would do KDE in one instance, and that's on KDE Neon, and that's for the only reason of it is easier to install Mycroft on KDE Neon than it is on any other Linux distribution.
Why is that?
That's because Mycroft on KDE Neon has its own plasmid, and that's it. And otherwise, I have to go and clone the Mycroft repo, and then I have to run dev setup, and then I have to download all my other personal stuff that I do to customize Mycroft and all this other stuff. Because Mycroft is really nice. If you've never tried Mycroft is the most amazing thing on Linux that I've ever run across that makes me go, I'm done. Windows, Apple, you can just go. We have finally...
Connect? KDE
KDE Connect?
Yeah, that's good too. But like, we have finally got our own personal digital assistant on Linux that's completely open sourced and privacy centered, and it works.
Yeah, with proprietary services.
I mean, you can change them. You can get the source code right there. There's the GitHub.
I'm saying it will be great when they finish the beach thing from Mozilla.
Yeah. Like right now, my only issue is I'm still using their which wake word was it? The Pocket Sphinx wake word, and I'm trying to get it to switch over to Precise. And that's my only thing. Because the Precise word.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Seb. Here's the question of the day. You only have one choice.
Okay, peppermint. Next.
There is no peppermint in this alternate universe. There is only KDE or GNOME. Which are you picking?
KDE.
Yes.
Blasphemy.
Dan, one choice.
KDE.
I love it. Thomas?
GNOME 100%.
Well, look, I love both. Okay, so I could do with either. I would, if I had my choice, you'd have to ask me whatever specific month it was, because if I'm running GNOME, if I'm running KDE, but right now I'm running KDE and I'm loving it, so it would be KDE for me right now.
Because if you ask him in December, it'll be changed by January.
It might be.
Mm-hmm.
Just saying. Colin?
GNOME.
Really, Colin?
Yes, he's real.
Absolutely.
Ali, there is no KD for
No.
Trinity available
No,
right now in this
I'm
alternate
on the
universe.
sort of KDE.
Okay.
I've been
5 doesn't count. He's talking plasma.
Plasma 5 or GNOME.
Plasma 5.
Nice. System, Plasma 5 or GNOME?
No,
Ooh.
just because I prefer GDK over that other crap.
You're welcome.
Wow.
It's okay. Everybody's entitled to their wrong opinion. It's fine.
Well,
I'm a cute guy. It's just a better toolbox.
Well, Tuck Stop, you already said you like GNOME, right?
Yeah, but I
This
might
is awesome.
give KDE a shot sometime soon. So
Man, this is 4-4 right now.
I
think.
know this is so much better than when we did this last. It was like
I think-
15 to 1.
All right, Derek, what's your choice?
You know what? Only one of these desktop environments really has any kind of sense of purpose. GNOME.
Wow. You
Yeah.
just said that KD has no sense of purpose.
No, it's just this smash of everything. We've got a million different settings. You can't find anything. GNOME has a purpose.
That's
It is
why I
be
like it.
featureless.
Derek, I have one word for you. Michael?
Okay, so
It's not
it
Michael's
has
turn
no
yet.
purpose. The purpose is to be whatever you want it to be, and it's starting out with a great, great set of defaults and the most the best user experience in Kubuntu only that you
You're
can
right.
possibly have.
You're right. Jack of all trades, master of none.
Experience.
No, the whole no. That
it's
implies
based-
that there's
But it's based on
master of
on
none. How about the
PC,
master
which is
of
like
the
.NET.
most powerful, while at the same time being the most flexible and most resource friendly compared to the rest of the DEs? Like, oh, GNOME, it's so great that it can run on one thread and crash every single system. Great, awesome.
They fixed that. They fixed
The
that.
purpose of GNOME is to crash.
It's a feature, not a bug.
Plugins, man. It's your plugins. It's your plugins. You just need to.
This.
That's the thing.
Oh,
you can't
man.
just need to put it
Anyway.
because it's already there.
All right,
With
let's
me and
finish
Michael,
the
that makes it
vote.
5 and 5, right? So
So-
Clammy is
Yeah.
I must say, GNOME 3.3 came through Arch. I've been running it for the past couple of weeks. It's a little faster, and I haven't had any crashes. That's not saying a lot, but
Well,
it
Tux,
looks
do
like
you
they've improved something. So
use extension, Tux?
yes,
use
I do.
extensions?
Some extensions, not a lot.
No one can use GNOME without extensions. That's just
Well, that's usually where the crashing comes into play, is when you start
and
putting extensions on.
yeah,
when
and I
when your
install
system requires them. It's
extensions-
not.
GNOME crash. Like,
yeah,
look-
when I install extensions, I make sure it's built for that GNOME shell. If it's not, no big deal. For me, at least, I don't use extensions if it's 3.28 or 2.6 on my 3.3. So
Just
All
add
right.
KDE as an extension.
Yes.
Yeah.
Silent. What's going on?
I'm good, thanks.
Now we got two radio voice guys, Dan and Silent.
Did you ask Climby?
Well, wait. It's
Yeah.
it's
tough.
what? It's 5-5, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is it?
It can't be.
Who's been keeping count?
No.
It's 6-5.
Yeah.
It's 6-5 KDE.
KDE, yeah.
Right.
Climby, I can put the check in the mail if you like.
but just for the record, XFCE is my favorite.
Yeah, I don't run either GNOME or KDE, but I mean the choice is clear between the two of them.
GNOME. It's GNOME. Yeah, I know. We know what you're going to say. You're wrong, but we know what you're going to say.
Someone's got their.
I'm kidding.
stuff on
I'm
in the
kidding. I
background,
actually
by
like
the way.
GNOME. That's why I use GNOME's workflow in Plasma. But still,
Allie, you have your stream. You have an echo going on.
Do I?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll mute just for a sec.
All right. Climby.
I was gonna say, had this been KDE versus Mate, I might have went with GNOME, but now that GNOME 3 is a thing, I don't know. I can use it, but I just find that I like how more customizable KDE is, and I like how it's more efficient on system resources.
Yes.
7-5.
KDE for the win. Just saying.
You can always just take XFCE and make a GNOME clone out of it. Because let's be brutally honest here, what is the most configurable desktop of all time?
You cannot run your file manager as sudo in KDE though. So.
The most configurable of all time, Plasma.
Yeah, you just
can
can't
make Plasma look like
No, you know what the most configurable of all
But
time
can you
is?
run i3 inside KDE? That's the true question, because you can do that with XFCE.
Yes, you can.
Why would you want to though?
There's even a thing called Tyler with i3 in the name, where it allows you to modify KWin with i3 bindings and stuff if you want to. So yeah, you can. You can do whatever you want.
Just make your own desktop environment.
You can expand your mind.
Yeah, just fork it.
Well, I'm going to also count the people in chat saying KDE, so KDE definitely overwhelmingly wins.
Since KDE automatically wins, GNOME.
GNOME. Oh God.
Michael, when can we see the beta for KDE 5.14?
The beta should be available now.
Why don't I have it?
Well, okay, there's an issue with, unless you're using the developer version of Neon, you're not going to get it. Or unless you're using the Arch testing repos, you're not going to get it.
I don't remember if I'm not on the dev version.
You're on the user version of Neon.
The user version
Am I?
gets the regular release on October 4th, I think.
9th.
9th? Okay, there you go.
9th.
But it does come out, the Neon gets it the day that Plasma releases. Within probably 30 minutes of their Plasma release.
And is there any update on when Kubuntu backports gets a better version of Plasma? No. Okay.
But that's not up to Kubuntu.
That's why you go with Neon. Just saying.
No, it's not up to Kubuntu anyway. It's a really annoying problem. That it's up to Debian. Whenever they make whenever they make Qt 5.11 ported to that set of files, is when Ubuntu can pull it in, and then Kubuntu can use it.
You don't have to wait on Debian though if you're on Arch. So.
That's
you sound
true.
like Simon with Pulse. It's Debian's fault.
Well, Debian shouldn't be involved in the first place with this. It's weird that they're going upstream is one thing, but when it's a core fundamental piece that affects your top layer stuff, it doesn't make any sense. Even the kernel is not handled by Debian. Even Ubuntu handles the kernel themselves. So it's why did it go to it used to be Ubuntu controlled the Qt packages, and then they just, I don't know. For some reason, Debian has it now. So that's what makes it super slow.
Yeah, but the backports are, how up to date are the backports even when that gets fixed?
They will be. They will probably be maxed at 5.13.
So they won't get 5.14.
No, because 18.10 will probably.
Yeah. See, that's why you run Neon. Just saying.
No, because you don't need to. If you're going to run a rolling release, you might as well just roll with the Kubuntu. There you go. Problem solved.
Can't get
just
5.14.
Stay on the development release of Kubuntu, and you've always.
There you go. You're good to go. Mm-hmm. Probably not unless you know.
No, you're not.
No.
Other than it's going to break on you occasionally.
Yeah, it's going to break on you occasionally.
Probably. That's a developer thing, so probably. That's why when someone says which one they should use, if you've never used Plasma before, Kubuntu is the choice. Because your experience the first time with Plasma should be one that's not terrible, and that would be Plasma on Kubuntu. Because Kubuntu has all the ridiculous things changed, and Neon has whatever the vanilla stuff is, and the vanilla stuff are really bad. So
you mean it changed sensible things like double click?
Yeah, change it to double click. Remove the stupid bouncing icon when you launch applications.
Hey, how do you How do you change the double click to single click and vice versa? It's not in the file manager.
They moved it.
No, it's in the.
They moved it for no reason in 5.13.
It used to be in inputs mouse.
Where do you think it would be? Sure, and now it's in desktop behavior or something.
Desktop behavior.
All I know is GNOME lets you change that in Nautilus. So,
hey, you. Okay, you made a good point.
Nautilus to something like Dolphin.
and if you run Fedora and Pop OS and Ubuntu and any distribution that runs GNOME, they're pretty much out of the box the same thing. All you have to do is add your plugins.
No, they're pretty much out of the box,
Yeah.
not the same at all, because they can all customize everything because the default GNOME is terrible.
The only one running vanilla GNOME, the Fedora kind of.
No, even Fedora changes stuff. Even
Arch is
Fedora
really
is
the only place you're getting.
Only one running stock GNOME, as far as I'm aware, is maybe Debian and maybe Pop OS.
No, Pop OS is
Pop
super.
OS is Pop OS is way more customized than even Fedora or Ubuntu.
Yeah, even Intergos customizes GNOME.
Yeah, they do it really nice.
Change it is because the ones that don't have they don't use it as a default. If it's used as a default, it is customized.
You're right, Derek. They do a very good job on them.
Yeah.
So this conversation,
Manjaro GNOME, Manjaro has, in my opinion, the best GNOME implementation. But sometimes it still crashes. But that was about a year and a half ago. So,
Well, the Manjaro, all their desktops are really nice, but they're nothing the vanilla. I mean, they really tweak those things out. Yeah.
Yeah, the KDE version is really nice as well.
Yeah, it is.
I just don't care for being on the Manjaro base. That's all.
So I think you've just worked out what your challenge is going to be for this week, Rocco.
What's that?
Everybody has to use plain GNOME.
Wow. Oh, wow, dude, that would be terrible.
That's cruel.
Even me.
That's evil.
Hey, no extensions allowed.
No, that's like asking everybody not to customize their KDE. That's just
that's terrible.
Plain GNOME, no extensions. See how many hours you can last.
Oh no, it wouldn't happen, dude. There is no way. I mean, I love
extensions, no modifications to the shell, or as far as the theming, no icon changing.
Look at this. Even the GNOME guys are going no.
No, actually, I mean, the GNOME desktop actually helps me do more work for me because there's less things to play with, less distractions for me.
I've heard other people mention that too. When you can do so little with your desktop environment, there's less to be distracted with it.
Yeah,
he makes a point. Yeah,
that's an interesting point. That's true.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's a sad but interesting point.
Yeah, I mean,
it takes the fun out of it. That's for sure.
That's right. I mean, it's a little less fun, but that's why I have XFCE.
Once I get my system set to why I want it, I don't change anything again.
Yeah.
And that's actually true, Tux, of hopping as well.
Yeah.
Because I've actually now stopped hopping, and I've enjoyed my Linux this week so much more than just sitting there configuring.
Oh wow, you've not hopped in 1 week?
I've not hopped to a single desktop in a whole week. I'm just using Peppermint.
Wow.
Marvelous.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, I really haven't hopped in about a year and a half to 2. I've mainly been running Arch with either Cinnamon, GNOME, XFCE. I've kind of just
zero DE hopper.
Desktop, 3 DEs in the same login, one user.
That's okay, Tux. Stay with us. We'll cure you of that.
I don't know how many times I did this week.
But the other distro, the only reason, not the only reason, the main reason I stick with Arch is the software availability. I mean, I've used Ubuntu, Fedora, Debian, but once I discovered Arch and how vast the software is, I feel there's no point in anything else. But
well, I mean, a lot of people think that, but then there's times where there's things you can't get on Arch because people refuse to, maintain it.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. So it's more like, I mean, some people say that, that it's the greatest because of all the availability. It's like, it has a ton of availability, but Ubuntu has the most availability pretty much.
Yeah, and most of it is probably, and then the stuff that I need, it's so easy to install in Arch. And so, for example, I mean, it used to be easy in Ubuntu. Maybe it's still easy, but I do some photography on the side business, and there's some tools that I need, and some plugins for certain softwares, and it's just right there in Arch. Otherwise, in Ubuntu or Fedora, I need to add this repo, the other repo, and keep updating it. Arch just makes it simple for me.
Well, I think things will change too
And
soon. I think instead of people making PPAs and AUR packages, you're going to see a lot more snaps and flat packs where a lot of these will be distro agnostic packages.
That's what I think. That's to be like the golden the golden pot at the end of the rainbow.
Yeah.
Well, I still have Arco on the machine behind me.
and
Nice.
That's what that laptop's
I tried
Arco.
I tried Snap.
I do. Your boost.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, it's all right. I'm just saying, like, I've been with the same distro since 2006, 7. But if I want to try
Who are you?
I'd dual boot it instead.
I thought my 3 years thing was ridiculous.
Yeah,
completely. Trumped me out.
Well, the way I see it is I feel at home in a certain distro, right?
Yep.
So I just stay with it like it's just so familiar to me.
Yeah.
And I control the distros, and if they break, it don't matter. I can always come running back. It's like the Windows Linux thing where people will try Linux and they're jumping back to Windows because that's where they feel more at home. We're brought up on it. With me, it's just another Linux distro rather than Windows, if you see what I mean.
Yeah, it makes sense. So you're saying that Kubuntu is the best because it makes people feel at home.
Yeah.
No, he was saying 3.5 never died.
Oh, okay. I misheard. My bad.
Oh, Michael, you're such a shell.
I'm not an Ubuntu guy.
I've tried
He is.
snaps. I've tried snaps and flat hub and app image and flatpak or whatever that is, but a lot of times for the software that I need, I can install the main software, but the plugins are not included in the snap pack or flat pack. So, and sometimes depending on what software it is, those plugins are very valuable.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going full snap.
And I can't figure out a easy way to add those plugins to the software because in Arch those plugins are there in AUR. So
I haven't thought
it's just
about
been
that.
easy. That's all.
Most plugins have they have its own
Because GIMP-
hierarchy system for their file system, so you can just mount them in there.
But say you install something like
Yeah,
GIMP
probably
as a
that's
snap
the way
pack. How would you get any kind of plugins or extensions for?
It depends because I'm pretty sure GIMP has a classic snap, so it would just use the basic default system stuff.
I think it does.
So other ones, it depends on what kind of integrations it needs because the classic snaps even support theming stuff now. So it really depends on what is all needed for that particular snap. But if it's one that is a strict confinement, then you can put it inside of its own mount point, and you can put it there, and it takes its own config separates. So the snap folder in your home folder would contain the configs for that.
Yeah. I mean, it's probably something like that. I mean, because there's a couple of plugins that I can't live without using GIMP. I mean, I'm sure, like I think it was Michael who said it. Maybe when you install Snap, there's a GIMP folder, and within that, there's the scripts and the plugins. Maybe I can drag it in. Maybe that's one way to do it. I don't know, but
I couldn't really. I'm pretty sure GIMP has a classic snap anyway, so you wouldn't have to. You can just use the basic style.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I'm pretty sure that's. But I want to bring something back up. Zeb said that he hasn't switched in a week, and for Zeb, the rate of his switching that is like a decade. So I would just like to applaud you, sir.
He's got 3 weeks to go yet. He'll crack.
Really?
And when he does, I'll remind him.
You don't know how stubborn I can be.
Ooh.
Yeah, we're talking Zeb here, not Rocco.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of
Rocco is
solos,
stubborn as well.
speaking of solos for a year,
3 weeks is a lot.
It's been a year since they did an update, so you're ready to jump back on, Rocco.
well, I mean, they just put their ISO refresh out, Zeb, so I might have to try it, and I might be on it for the rest of the year. Just saying.
That's funny.
No, not really. But so, anybody have any word about Ike and where he's at?
Nope.
That is
The only word I've seen, like when anybody asks it in any kind of the soulless channels, is they get shut down kind of immediately. Like nobody even wants to talk about it. So
There's people who've known him for a while that have said, like on podcasts and stuff, that he was doing like he was in a process of moving and stuff like that, so his stuff got hectic and he couldn't get online for a couple weeks or so. But as far as like what's going on with the project and stuff, there's no one so far. They still consider him part of the project, so I don't. There's nothing changed there. So there's nothing to announce because there's nothing changed.
And if you look at the release notes on the latest ISO that's come up, his name is still on about 80% of the things that have been produced for that refresh.
Yeah.
So he's
It's
still
just people
around
not
doing
seeing
stuff.
him.
He just hasn't. I don't think he's got a good enough internet access where he's living, or he hasn't yet found a permanent place that he's happy with. And you know yourselves, you move and then you wait 3 weeks for BT to turn up to put your internet connection in. And if he's not happy where he's trying to settle, then there's no point for him to, to try and set up an internet connection.
I also think it's a case of people like being so used to him being everywhere and interacting so much that him not interacting was more like a shock to the system type thing. But I think that his entire point is he doesn't want to interact anymore. He just wants to be in the back end, making the code, and he can make the code even offline because you can just pull the Git down, and then when you are ready to push it back up, you can connect for a little bit and push it back.
Right. I think you're right, Michael. I think that's the thing that you are so used to seeing him everywhere that now you don't see him at all. It's kind of like it's a weird situation.
Yeah, it is kind of like a weird transition because he said he was going to do something similar to this, but he kind of like just completely shut everything down.
Right. It's when you kind of just drop off the face of the earth. I mean, this isn't the same kind of drop off the face of the earth that the Void did, but still, it seemed a little more extreme than I'm going to take a little break and nobody's heard from you.
Well, I mean, the team has.
Yeah. Speaking of breaks,
are you on a Kit Kat bar?
Yeah. No, I'm actually. Hold on 1 second.
You're breaking your mic.
Yeah.
Getting ready.
Right. Okay. Linus decided to take a break. Anybody want to talk about it?
See, no one knew where that was going.
I saw the latest video from Linus Tech Tips earlier today. He's
Yeah.
Oh, has anybody seen that video on how Linux gaming is easier now? They literally just posted a video about how gaming on Linux is easier.
that's the one I watched. Yeah, that was
Yeah, and that painted gaming on Linux in a much better light than their last video did with Wendell.
Yeah.
Well, their last video was not a good video, honestly.
Yeah.
And the last video was before Steam Play.
Yeah.
I mean,
they
their
didn't
last
have much to
video
talk about.
was
They were
like
talking
Verge
about
building a computer. I mean, it's this same kind of level.
Yeah, that video was more like, let's look at this, complicated structure of doing like virtual machine stuff. Like, here's two different graphics cards sitting on the same motherboard, and we're not even going to put it in a case because of how much effort it takes. Like, that kind of a presentation didn't really work out for the Linux stuff. And he also, and the problem was that like it was a weird video because like Wendell was making jokes that Linus didn't get at all, and it like seemed super awkward. Okay.
And that's what made that video kind of strange, is because especially most of the viewers don't run Linux, and then you're trying to do all this weird stuff, playing games and wine.
At the end of that video, they showed like, and we made this look good and look easy, and it's not. Like, you did? Okay.
Yeah. But then with their new video, it is literally that easy. I've done some of the stuff they're talking about in their new video themselves.
Yeah, the Steam Play is amazing, really.
It is.
Yeah. I must be the unluckiest person in the world because I've got Doom. Yeah.
If you go into Steam Play settings, like if you go to Steam, then settings, and go down Steam Play, and you enable it for all things, so much better.
Doom won't play.
Didn't work. Huh.
You got to have the right kernel, like the latest kernel. You have to have the right drivers, the latest drivers. You have to have.
I've got the Ubuntu PPA installed, and I've got whatever comes with Peppermint. So you mean I've got to upgrade to 4.18?
You have to have the latest kernel.
4.18.9 now.
Okay. What about Licorice or ZanMod, which are also 418.
That's a flip of the coin.
It should work with Liquorix. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it does.
Okay.
It does, yeah?
Mm.
All right, I'll install Liquorix afterwards and see if I can get Doom to play. Because I double-click Doom, click install. Oh, well, it's installed.
You don't need 418. 415 on a Ubuntu 1804 works perfectly fine.
So for some games.
Then there's something.
No, it works perfectly fine. I know. I just pulled it up to
Tested
verify.
all thousands of games. Oh, that's impressive.
So Doom works, yeah?
It works on both NVIDIA. So a 1050 Ti will support it with the current 196 drivers, which you should be able to get. I think those are the next tier drivers, which are an 1804.
What, 396?
Yeah. And then if you're on the AMD side of things, the open driver is just automatic. You just have to pull in.
No, Team Green here. So I've got a 1070 Ti.
The
Way to go, Zeb.
only issues you might deal with is you'll need to make sure that it launches in OpenGL mode first to switch it over to Vulkan. Then once you switch it over to Vulkan, it'll run.
Okay, now I'll refer back to what Rocco said. Can you say that in English? You're talking about make sure it loads up in OpenGL. Is that a little
right?
Option?
So
load up Vulkan.
So within
When you first launch it.
Right. So within Steam itself, the options there's an ability to right click on it and then go to properties for the game. And then from within the game itself, you will actually want to, let me pull it up real quick and I can tell you exactly what you need to load. Okay, so under properties, then you'll need to go to set launch options.
Yep.
You can do two different options. You can do -force-OpenGL, which will override the application using just Steam to override it, or you can actually
//OpenGL. Yeah.
Yeah, you can do that. That'll force it into OpenGL mode, but that's a trigger that Doom will detect. If you're still having an issue, there's actually another trigger that you can use that will override the DXVK settings, and that I will have to look up, and I will put in the. I'll actually put it in the group message.
And do I then put that after the OpenGL one, or?
No. Those are two different options. They're
either or.
So if the force, the /force-OpenGL does not work, like you can't launch it in OpenGL mode, then you need to use the other command because there's something else running that's conflicting with NVIDIA that's causing the issue.
Well, if
This
I go
guy
offline,
in the chat saying that you can force the Vulkan mode as well.
If I go offline, then it's going to. You'll know why. So we'll wait and see whether it starts up. I've got 3 screens.
Keep us posted on this.
Tested live.
A lot of people's eyes are just glazing over right now after all of this.
Right?
Well, now it says it's in
Linux is so easy. Why doesn't everybody run it?
So it's got a lot further than it did before. So thanks for that.
Cool.
Yeah. The only reason is it's one of the things. So one of the groups that I work with, it's a Linux gaming group. We deal with, and when I say I've tested a ton of games, Michael, it's not just me specifically.
I knew you were. It was impossible. I was just making.
Yeah, but we have a huge, wide amount of people that we deal with that have so many different problems and so many issues. I'm glad that worked for you. So the deal is that there's all.
Right, I'm going to play Doom.
But we deal with a lot of stuff. We actually have an entire group that's just dedicated to DXVK stuff now. So we.
All right, well,
are you working with the that Steam Play community site thing?
So we're working. So I work with 2 different groups. I don't know, which one are you referring to?
I don't know. There's a Steam site community site.
About the Steam Play community report,
the compatibility report thing.
Compatibility report.
Yeah, that. So we have 2 people in the community in LGG that do that, and then we have TuxDB, which is the database that lists all games that are currently coming to Linux, or games that are available on Linux. We're also working with that as well.
Nice.
I think Rocco is actually a part of LGG. I think he joined. I think I sent him a link for LGG for him to get some help with a game that he was having issues, which we're still working on. We will figure it out.
Mhm.
But
They
we
couldn't
also
get that aimbot installed on Ballistic Overkill.
Well, I have
Got him.
another issue I'm going to ask you about, System. It's with Steam Play, and I'm not the only guy that's having it, but
Works on my machine.
every time I boot the machine or start Steam, I have to update 90% of my games, and that's a lot of games. Like it continually calls for an update.
Right. So it's actually loading that. That's an actual issue that Steam's working on right now. That's an issue with Proton. It will go away if you just turn off the Proton part. Like if you turn it off for all games, it'll go away. It'll stop doing that. But it's an issue where there are minor files being updated to Proton on a regular basis, and there should be minor updates, maybe less than like a meg or two that you should be seeing. If you're seeing more than that, then there's something else going on, and it has to do with your cache on your system. And that if you're loading it up and unloading it, then it might be issues that way too. But that would be something that would have to be dealt with directly by Steam.
So you don't have an answer.
My answer is if it keeps doing that, then you're going to have to turn off Proton, because Proton is what's causing it.
Yeah, I'm going to have to, because like every time I start Steam, like 90% of the game, and they just updated the last time I started Steam.
Mm-hmm. How often do you play games that require Proton?
Not very often.
Okay.
That was just for, I turned it on for testing purposes,
Okay. I was just wondering how difficult would it be to turn it on when you need it and turn it off when you don't? Like, and just in general, because I have not tried.
It's just a click. It's just a check mark. You literally turn it on and turn it off.
So you just opt in and opt out. I get you.
Yeah.
You got to go through the settings a little bit, but it's not bad.
Yeah.
That sounds good. That sounds
It does
fine.
a restart after you click the box. Yeah.
Oh, you have to restart Steam. That's it.
Yeah,
just pretty much.
Yeah.
So
That's not too bad.
It's not too bad, but they are working on that. I think I know what he's talking about. Yeah, it's because they're updating a lot of the stuff that's required to make those games function, and as they implement new features and functions, then they have to update the games.
Right.
And it's actually not the game itself that's updating. It's actually the component that makes the game run within Proton that's updating.
And that's actually a new sort of like slightly annoying feature of Steam. I mean, if you go in there and you change the fact that you want to show the frame rate in whichever corner you want to, you now have to restart Steam. If you go in there and you want to add your directory where your Steam games are, you then have to restart Steam. It never used to do that. So that must be just a new feature that every slight change you make, restart Steam, restart Steam, restart Steam.
Getting much more Windows-like and less Linux-like.
Yeah, we seem to be going that direction.
Come on, guys. You can just change files.
All right, going back to that subject that we were going to talk about.
That I diverted you from?
Yeah, you diverted. And it might be a good idea to stay away from
I was actually trying to help you out before you went down.
You did an excellent job.
I think it's too volatile.
I think it's something.
Rocco, do you feel proud about what you said during that process?
Yeah, that's the question. Really.
Do you feel proud about having this conversation? This is a conversation that you can stand behind later years down the road.
I'm going to check his Twitter feed and as he posts
I mean, do we have, I mean, the thing is, just to make it simple, because
look, we're going to start basing people's eligibility to come on BDLL on their merits.
You're going to have to sign the code of conduct in order to.
Oh my gosh.
Well, it was great while it lasted, guys.
Never be the first one out the door.
Yeah, in the UK, we don't worry about all that stuff and nonsense. It's all BS, really.
EB can never come back.
You've got to write a code of conduct, which is 58 lines of total waffle, when you could have quite easily have said, just be nice to everyone.
Okay, it's not okay. There's a difference between what ideology, like idealistically, should work, and what didn't work.
Wait,
come back.
I know this is going to come as a shock, but me and Michael were talking about this. That's not the shock. We were talking about this the other night, and
you agreed.
The really big shock is we agreed on this whole thing. I was shocked to know that.
Well, I mean, it's not even as, I mean, the Arch, if you go and look, Arch has a code of conduct that's like 50 times longer. That has so many more requirements.
Has one. KDE has one.
Yeah,
Like,
they all have code of conduct. I'm surprised that the kernel devs didn't have one a long time ago.
They did technically, sort of, kind of.
Yeah, they did. But nobody
This is a weird code that was like, here's the way you should, if something happens, you should totally, contact the Linux Foundation. And right before that statement, it's, you should expect things to happen. And like, that's a weird code.
Well, I mean, it was written around, but
well, look, nobody's arguing that there shouldn't, you should treat people with respect. I mean, it's not about giving Linus or anybody really a free pass to just treat people like crap, because that's not cool. But
separating a little bit of this, separating Linus from the code of conduct. Linus wants to take a break, and he recognizes his behavior. He says it himself. His behavior has been a detriment to the kernel development. He's driven people away. Yep. And he wants to work on himself. I applaud him for that.
That's good.
Yeah, because even, making that video I made about this the other day, I couldn't put quotes from Linus in that video, like some of the ones I wanted to highlight. I wouldn't even put them on screen because, I get the video demonetized. I mean, like, some of the stuff he has said has been pretty crazy.
Yeah, so. I mean, like, just if you say that Linus is like, you could say that has like such an enormous, impossible to understand pressure and responsibility on his shoulders that it makes sense that he would have an abrasive attitude to people who are trying to push in code that you can guarantee that there's malicious actors trying to put in code as much as possible to break it and ruin it, because we've already seen it. We've seen the NSA try to do stuff like that. We've seen Microsoft try to push stuff in and stuff like that for years, like decades even. And it makes sense that he would be very protective and very abrasive even.
Yeah. And there's actually there's a
line. Yeah, there's a line he crosses that.
There's actually curse words in the kernel. I mean, sometimes there's comments in the kernel that are crazy. So
but you need somebody like that to keep it the way it's supposed to be. I'm not saying, and I don't mean,
but not.
Yeah, I don't mean
level.
I don't mean that level. I'm saying, but you need somebody abrasive like that.
Well, I consider him to be like the counterbalance to Richard Stallman. To be honest with you, I mean, just to think about it, they're like the even balance of each other, right? It's like one of them is kumbaya, hug trees, and the other one's like, okay, the trees are in my way, let's burn the forest. I mean, it's kind of that balance, and without one or the other.
I don't like this analogy.
But the question is though, do you have
burning
to
trees,
that?
man?
Because I've never heard that Richard Hartman Core, whatever his name is, talk like that. Who's the second? Who's the number 2 guy, Michael?
Richard Stallman is GNU.
No, forget. I don't want to mention that guy's name. So
right?
Anything to do with that character, just take it away.
He's another reason why we don't talk about it.
Yeah, the number 2 in the kernel. What's his name?
Greg Crow-Hartman.
Yeah, I have never heard of a bad word out of his mouth. So you don't have to, and he'd be perfectly good at controlling the kernel until Linus comes back.
Yeah, I met him in Seattle. He's a fantastic, nice dude. Like there's nothing, I've never seen him say anything negative or anyone say negative thing about him. Like him taking over is the best choice that could have been picked. So I mean, it's not like him, but Linus taking a break is, that's not a big deal in the sense that who they give the reins to is like, you can guarantee it's in good hands.
Yeah. Now, the other side of that story is the code of conduct itself and some of the things in it. And that, to me, is a bunch of rubbish, if you ask me. To be so politically correct that, being nice to people, or I shouldn't say, what exactly is the wording?
So, Derek, about Linus Tech Tips.
Yes.
What exactly is the wording, Michael?
I don't know what the exact wording of it is.
You're talking about the wording of the code of conduct?
Yeah, the wording of the code of conduct.
It's very.
It says use inclusive language.
Yeah, but there was one line in there that it's just as important
as the destination.
Yeah, something like that. I can't remember exactly what it
Nice
says.
save.
But it pretty much says that, you know, like being nice to people is just as important as your technical expertise.
Oh yeah. It's saying that the equally as important is the social aspects are as equally important as the code, and it's like no.
No, it's not. I'm sorry.
It's not. The code
you
is
can
more
be
important.
nice. You can be nice to people, and that's what you're supposed to do. But to put it on the same plane, the same level as the importance of the code itself is completely wrong. Sorry.
Like being nice is definitely important.
Yes.
In every way, but like you shouldn't. But if you're nice and your code is trash, your code shouldn't be in there just because you're nice. So like to say that they're equal is like not really, no.
Correct.
Especially when you got billions of devices dependent on the code.
Oh yeah, because it's the most important piece of software ever made by metric tons. Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
It's not even close. So to say that it's equally important is like no, because of how important and massive the mountain of responsibility that they have, they can't ignore the fact that the code is the most important thing. And I don't think they will, even with this code of conduct. I think the code of conduct is just to imply or just to put in place to change the intended vibe of the community. I don't think
I think it's mainly just for public perception to say, hey, we're doing something, you know, and we're.
So,
I just read through the
So,
code.
using welcoming, inclusive language, being respectful, differing view, opinions, and experience, grateful, accepting constructive criticism, focusing on what is best for the community, and showing empathy towards other community members. That's like the second paragraph that showed up, you know, and it's really targeted, to be honest with you. It's really targeted.
I mean, I think there's things that in there that at first glance it looks great in the sense of like what it's trying to intend or what it's appearing to intend. And I think that's, you know, fundamentally the community should be welcoming and inclusive and all that stuff for sure. There's just some of that language in that code of conduct is ambiguous and could be applied to all kinds of different examples. So that it could be used as a negative tool. And I think that they should just, if they were going to do anything, just like they could easily end the conversation just by removing the stuff that's ambiguous or using something like from like Gen 2 or Arch's code of conduct or something like that.
Yeah, but I can't see. Sorry, guys, I can't see the bit that talks about the code is just as important as the people. Where's
it says equally as important as the code or project or something like that.
Does it?
Yeah,
I don't remember where it says it.
I'm going to try to pull it up because I don't remember exactly what the.
Well, hang on, Rocco. Let me just give you the copy of that.
I mean, I'm not against code of conducts in general. Like they're fine as long as they're implemented in a way that
link in Zoom chat
is described that they're trying to. Like there's certain codes of conduct that are trying to say this is what will get you kicked out, and this code of conduct appears to be what allows you to stay, and that's kind of like a negative approach, like the opposite approach.
And you know, the thing is, though, also just having a code of conduct and saying this is how we're going to be does not mean this is actually what's going to happen. You can say one thing, but actually changing culture is a very hard process. You can see this throughout history.
I mean, the argument is that the culture was top down, and because
right, exactly,
and because he's trying to change himself, it implies that there's going to be change.
Yeah,
and I think that the pledge to be like inclusive and everything is good. It doesn't mean that they're required to stick to it in like 100% or whatever.
Yeah, and to be brutally honest, having a more inclusive culture is never a bad thing. Having constructive criticism instead of harsh, tearing people down is never a bad thing. It should be about learning and getting better while also making the best code that you possibly can for these billions and billions and billions of devices, Sure. So as far as I see it, if they can keep making at least the quality of code they're making now, if not better, while also helping people such as myself and others to learn and get better, then in the future, the student will become the master and we'll be getting an even better quality of code while also having an inclusive culture.
Yeah, but I'm reading this now, and under the scope it says this code of conduct applies to both within the project spaces and public spaces, right? And so on. And it's saying that they can ban people from it if they don't oblige to it, right? And the problem I have with that is you can have someone who isn't really socially adept, write brilliant code. Does that mean that any patches or something this guy comes out with that could fix the problem in the kernel is now banned because he's basically a bit of a person kind of thing?
Well, yes. there is, a lot of programmers suffer from things like autism, Asperger's. That's really common actually in that community. Even just being socially awkward is kind of a normal thing with programmers. We already mentioned Linus's behavior. That other fellow we won't name, he has some similar issues.
Issues is word, yeah.
Right. So there you go.
Right. I am still trying to get this. That's not the one I was looking at, Seb. That's not the code of conduct that I was looking at.
If you look at the contributor covenant, just look for that, and that's what it's based on.
That's the link I gave from our show notes from yesterday, Michael.
Oh, well, that is the one.
Scroll down, Rocco. It's in green. You're reading the stuff in
green. That's what I was reading off the one in green.
Yeah, and I couldn't see anything in there about saying people are, or the code is just as important as people.
I'm pretty sure.
Weird. Maybe that was just someone's interpretation of it or something.
It could be. It could be referencing the post-meritocracy manifesto.
Where is that?
The same person wrote that, both of them.
Well,
so it's on the same website. I don't know.
Anyway,
moving on.
It's all stuff and nonsense.
Yeah, it's pretty
it's
much.
Not in the code of conduct.
Well, my one question then is, there's talk of developers, pulling their commits from the kernel, and is that like a real threat? I mean, how real of a threat is that?
They don't own the code; they added it to GPL, so the kernel could just say, "Yeah, you can take it out. We'll add it back because you released it as GPL."
Right.
There's only they're not going to do any more, but they can't just remove it. No.
And it was really just one guy trolling the kernel mailing list, suggesting people do that. Nobody's going to do that because it's pointless.
There's also a guy trolling the mailing list, sending stuff about you should sue people and stuff, like this weird, I guess was a lawyer or something.
Yeah, and really somebody that's not even associated with the kernel. That's the problem. A lot of these people that are causing all of this, they're not even a part of this.
I think most people who are involved in the controversy have never contributed to the kernel, and there are some people who have arguments that have contributed that have good points in the sense it's an open-ended thing, and that kind of makes it a negative. It has potential to be negative because it's open-ended and it's a bit ambiguous, and that's true because most ambiguous things lead to some kind of manipulation in some way. So that's possible, but for the most part, the vast majority of the community that is freaking out about it are the same people who freak out about anything changing at all.
Yeah, but
you also got a lot of conspiracy theorists out there because Microsoft and Google have such influence with the kernel, maybe because they're these platinum members of the Linux Foundation. Maybe they were behind pushing Linus out. I mean, Linus didn't go away on his own. It's the theory.
I've heard that. I've heard that. Yeah,
people have said that. I've seen that before, but it's definitely ridiculous.
Given his character, I can't see that being the case.
Linus being kicked out, that's not going to happen. Yeah. The only way he would ever get kicked out is if he chooses to leave. The same thing that happened to the guy from Python. He chose to leave. They couldn't kick him out.
Right.
But it's been 18 months. If you watch the mailing list over the last 18 months, this has been a discussion. This isn't just something that they decided yesterday or 2 weeks ago or a week ago. It's a discussion that's been being had for 18 months.
And Linus leaving was not a spur of the moment thing.
No.
He mentioned about a month ago that they were
6
already
months.
getting things planned for his successor, if he ever decided to leave. So,
well, the discussion
were-
started back in the end of April is when the discussion first started with him putting preparations in place. The thing is that on the mailing list over the last 18 months, there's been a discussion, mostly because of the transition of the way the board at the Linux Foundation and what they want to be able to do and how they want to sustain the kernel long term. They wanted to put things in place as well in case, heaven forbid, Linus gets hit by a bus.
Right.
So it's been one of those situations where it has already been discussed that he's been doing it for so many years, and there might be a point when he just wants to transition away. And so at that point, they were already putting those discussions in place. The code of conduct has kind of been a discussion that's been around since January, the beginning of January, and then due to just so that they can kind of rein in and keep the community kind of, while they're in the process of transition, it was why they were doing that. And now it's just at that point where they're now putting all the pieces together. Whether he stepped down in his apology, the whole issue with the apology is the only thing I have a problem with. I would think it would be fine if he just stepped away and he said, hey, I'm going to take some time, focused on what I want to be able to do, my projects, my independent stuff, and then that kind
That's
of thing.
not even why he's doing it. Like that's
Well,
not,
I know that. He's doing it to quote unquote fix his issues that he's dealing with.
Right, but I think if he was to say that he's taking a break to work on his personal projects or something, that would be more potentially more detrimental.
Oh yeah,
than
because
why-
people would think, well, he might have a job offer somewhere. He might really be leaving, instead
Yeah.
of
In this
going
case, it's kind
fishing
of
or
like
whatever he's doing.
Yeah, I agree.
And people change too. His apology. It who knows? It could be driven by. I guess his paycheck's provided by Intel, right? Part of his paycheck,
No,
at least.
no, Linux Foundation.
The Linux Foundation, yeah. So
So it
all
could
those.
So it could be motivated by that, or it could be, who knows? He might have a family member who's a developer. Maybe they had a conversation. Maybe he loves that person so much. Maybe it hit his head. Hey, maybe what I did all this long was wrong, and maybe he realized that. So people can change. So maybe it's that too. So.
Mhm.
But that's not a sexy story. The sexy story is that Microsoft is plotting to take over the kernel. That's the
or Google, one or the other.
Yeah.
Well, all I'm going to say with this is I'll use Linux as long as it's open source. So
Absolutely. That's
Yeah,
what we're all
always.
here for, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, on a lighter note, happy birthday, pizza loving nerd.
Yeah, happy
Pizza,
birthday,
pizza.
13. Absolutely
13.
amazing.
Well, well, actually, it's 12:09, so it's the new day. It's Sunday, but yesterday, Saturday, was my dad's birthday as well.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
He said he's 39.
I was going to say slightly older than 13, I think. What's that, 39 and 150 months?
We don't talk about that, Zeb.
20th anniversary of being 39.
Yeah, so anyway, Microsoft also announced that they have, well, actually, there's an Ubuntu enhanced version
Rabble,
for...
rabble, 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 rabble.
Nothing great about that.
Anyway, Microsoft announces they have an enhanced version of Ubuntu. Does this interest anybody or what?
Hell no.
Is it going to be...
Well, if I was going to use Windows, I probably would run Linux in a VM on Windows. I guess.
Yeah, but I wouldn't use Hyper-V. I'd probably use VirtualBox.
VirtualBox or VMware or something else. Yeah.
So what is the advantage to using Hyper-V?
It's got hardware acceleration from Microsoft, basically.
But it
It's
doesn't
already there
in
too.
those versions.
It's already on your system.
Because
with-
Windows
with-
10 Pro or Education or whatever the other one is, it's still a type,
Enterprise.
it's a
Yeah, but
Type
why-
2 hypervisor, just like VirtualBox. It's not like it is on the server, which is a Type 1 hypervisor.
Which what does that actually mean in like layman's terms?
That means Type 1 hypervisor has direct connection to the hardware, whereas Type 2 does not. And there's a software layer in between.
And that's what this Ubuntu is going to be.
Yeah, it's going to sit on, well, your Pro or your Education version is basically using the Type 2 Hyper-V.
So it's a lot more complicated and therefore less benefit than just running it in a VM.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you could argue that you could deploy it with Hyper-V, and then an enterprise company could like deploy it as their workstations and stuff like that. It could. Well, I mean, you kind of say why would they do that? No, it's just running Ubuntu. But there's potential that's possible.
Well, somebody must have needed it. That's the reason why Microsoft and Canonical worked on it. So there must be a use case for it. So.
I mean, it's possible that people like wanted to use Linux and then they just like, oh, I heard about this Linux thing. I'll go give it a shot. And they install the subsystem and it's just like a bash shell thing.
And the folks at Canonical always talk about how close they work with the folks at Microsoft. Here's another example of how cozy they are. So,
I was pretty sure the Hyper-V could be selectable within VirtualBox as well, as a Type 2.
Yeah, it's Type 2.
I'm just checking, actually.
Yeah, I think it said that in the announcement, I think.
Just install Ubuntu.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Just do that. You're going to be faster and more secure anyway.
Well, I mean, most people who would do it are afraid to try something other than what they have.
Yeah. Well, if you're doing this for security, you wouldn't run Windows as your host machine anyway. So
This is probably there for those system administrators who have Unix boxes to administer as well and want to do it via a full-fledged Ubuntu rather than the LWS or the WSL or
subsystem. I mean, you could actually argue that pretty fine.
The help with Azure.
You could argue that fine because a lot of system admins or a lot of Windows system admins don't use the PowerShell or anything like that. They just use GUIs. So it is possible that they'd be more comfortable with a GUI over the Ubuntu and stuff like that. That is a possible. I mean, a lot of people would like. And the reverse would be ridiculous. Like if someone's like Linux sysadmins who have to deal with Windows love the fact that the PowerShell is on Linux now, so that they can use it in the snap. They can use all the PowerShell benefits and not have to actually use Windows because they don't need Windows to do that kind of administration. So like the opposite for Linux, and then maybe the GUI for Windows admins.
Now, I was right, by the way, in VirtualBox, we have a choice of default legacy minimal Hyper-V and KVM. So yeah, Hyper-V is on VirtualBox, so I can't see the point of having the Windows version. Just saying, it's on Type 2.
I mean, I guess other than it's actually one of the Windows, bits, it's built in. I mean, it's already there. I suppose if you had...
Yeah, I guess so. But there's still no seamless or anything like that. They've still got a lot of way to catch up before...
Yep,
they do. They catch up to VirtualBox or even VMware.
Yeah,
you might take a performance hit doing the Hyper-V on Windows because isn't it some kind of daemon, some kind of a process running in the background all the time on your machine anyway?
But it's enhanced now. It's enhanced now.
It's optimized.
Yeah. Enhanced. Optimized. Where's the proof? Where's the change logs? Where are the optimizations? I want to see this.
You're supposed to just trust us. You're just supposed to trust us, okay?
Trust Windows.
Hyper-V is proprietary.
So, behind the Windows by default. Come on now.
We trust Windows, and sadly, a lot of people.
All right. Well, this is the time that we normally pick a distro to.
Yeah, we already decided it was GNOME with nothing extra.
No, we didn't.
Pretty sure we did that.
Think again, Michael.
But Zeb's not going to join us. So shall we take a enjoy your operating system week instead of making a challenge? How about the challenge be you enjoy the operating system you're on this week?
Yeah, GNOME no extensions?
No.
GNOME no extensions.
I am not doing that challenge. I'm sorry.
but I enjoy Pop OS on my work laptop all the time anyway. So
yeah, but that has a ton of extensions.
How about no distro hopping?
Not really. I have four.
Exactly, Tux. That's what we said. Yeah, this is an enjoy your installation week.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. That's a good challenge.
That's
the
what it's
one
going to be.
week I decided distro hop, and you guys don't do one. Wow.
Do we have
Yeah,
to,
right.
Do we have to install one? Do we have to install one first to enjoy it? Or we just enjoy the
You already have like what 9 installed. You got plenty to enjoy.
Yeah, there's plenty for you to enjoy there, Colin.
Uh,
So I think that will be the challenge this week. Enjoy your operating
that
system.
sounds like a challenge.
For this group, it is.
Not for me.
but my question
It's
is,
the easiest week of my life.
So-
He's been on it since 2006. So.
Exactly, it's going to be the easiest week of my life.
so let's check this out. Zeb, you're going to be enjoying peppermint. Dan, what are you going to be enjoying?
I got to pick one.
Well, I mean, yeah, you got to enjoy your operating system this week. So
I'm gonna Manjaro.
Manjaro,
KDE.
KDE, Chip
Oh,
will
yeah.
love you. Chip in chat will love you.
Mhm.
Well, we know what Thomas is going to enjoy. I mean,
What? What do you think I'm gonna enjoy?
what are you going to enjoy?
Vanilla Ubuntu 18.04.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's nice.
I do not.
How
run-
can you do that? I don't think you can enjoy vanilla Ubuntu.
Yeah, you
I mean,
can.
I have a few extensions thrown in there, but
That's not vanilla.
okay.
Enable the
That's not
community.
Vanilla Bean.
Vanilla bean.
Colin, what are you going to enjoy?
well, I've been running Linux Mint 19 for quite a while now, Cinnamon. So that's on my main. So my main one is the one I always would say that's what I'm running normally. So, but the laptop's got all the other stuff on it. So
you're going to enjoy Linux Mint?
I will be enjoying Linux Mint. I do every week. So
Good.
yeah.
You're not allowed to hop this week, Colin.
No, I'm allowed to test though, aren't I?
Yeah,
I'm
that's the
actually-
same thing.
No, you're not
I'm
allowed to
in-
test. You got to stay away from testing. No USBs for you.
Oh no.
One week.
I've just finished an install just now. I want to try because I don't know. If you guys-
We'll forgive you for that one.
Then
Okay, no
stay
more.
on that one for a week.
Well, that's actually Kubuntu, but the Ferrin OS emergency
Then you
desktop.
stay on Kubuntu Ferrin OS for a week.
I'll stay on that then.
Now I like this challenge. No live USBs, no VMs, no extra partitions or drive.
No
No.
VM.
No videos.
Development.
Let's
for a
do
week.
it.
Oh, great.
No, I can't do that because I've got to make videos.
Exactly, that's what I was saying.
Got to do my development. I gotta have a VM.
Why don't you make it?
We're only no,
As long as it doesn't impede your workflow, okay? You can do what you need as long as it doesn't impede your workflow. So if you have to review a distribution, as long as there is a distribution that you're using as your daily driver, as what you live in, your daily life, everything else is whatever, as long as it's on top. Okay.
And as long as that is GNOME with no
Fair
extension.
enough.
And you can make a video, Colin, of how much you love Linux Mint.
No, actually, I can do reviews on my Linux Mint in VirtualBox. I'm enjoying.
We're
my
gonna
operating
we're gonna
system,
we're gonna work on you, Colin.
We'll work him over.
Allie, we know what you're gonna be running and what you're
Yeah, I'll
gonna
be
be
running
enjoying.
my piece of Linux OS with my Trinity desktop.
System, I
I'll be
take
doing
it
that for a week.
you're gonna enjoy Pop.
Yeah, like I do every week, every day. Yeah, I have it on multiple machines. My wife is holding my son up in the background. Yeah.
Nice.
Quite see. It's Tron.
Hey,
Tron
don't
Junior.
be nice. Be nice about his helmet, okay? And my daughter is yelling something about candy now. So anyway, Pop OS. That's what I'm
Pop
doing.
OS. Tux, what are you gonna be enjoying this week?
Arch with GNOME.
Nice. That's the
No
real
extensions.
challenge.
Now, a distro hopper like yourself, Derek, or a distro tester, I should say, like yourself. What are you gonna enjoy this week?
Well, since I've got multiple machines and then multiple drives, if I have to stick to one, I'm going to stay on Manjaro i3 all week, I guess.
Manjaro i3.
That's
Climby?
You know what? Challenge accepted. I'm gonna try it. No extensions.
Oh my god!
Ooh.
I feel for you.
Masochist.
Sorry.
I like it.
Man's a masochist.
As much as Michael, what are you gonna be enjoying?
The same thing I do everything, Pinky.
Yeah.
Kubuntu.
Okay. Silent.
It's going to be difficult for me because I'm testing a piece of software in 3 different distros, and I need to change between them to continue testing.
Well, that's okay. That's your standard week.
That's true.
We're just Colin's thinking, why didn't I think of that excuse?
Yeah, there's no backtracking now, boys and girls. Yeah.
Oh.
But what are the 3 distros you're gonna enjoy?
I'm in Pop OS currently, Linux Mint 19 Taro, and Arch.
And the Arch one is GNOME with no extensions.
No. i3.
All right.
That's which Linux Mint is that? Which desktop environment?
Cinnamon.
Cinnamon, okay.
Can't understand you people using Linux Mint with Cinnamon. Just install GNOME.
Cinnamon's a great desktop.
There's no reason to use
It's lightweight. I'll give you it's lightweight, but it's too close to Windows. Use something more unique.
But that's what you see.
That's one of the reasons why people like it.
When you do things for people and new users, which is what I mainly do, I like to help new users. Cinnamon is probably one of the best desktops for people to feel comfortable in Linux, you know? So
yeah,
I'd have to agree with that. Like out of the box, Cinnamon is one of the nicest. Like
it's a very familiar paradigm, isn't it?
Yeah, without it's that without having to change a ton of stuff. Like KDE Plasma has the same paradigm, but you got to change a bunch of stuff to get it to normal to act as you expect. Whereas Cinnamon,
were you going to say to act normal?
Almost well, I recently showed Mint 19 to my mother.
Right, that paradigm is too old school.
Yeah.
Elementary is what you need to put them on.
Mm-hmm. Silent, what did you just say?
I recently showed Mint 19 to my mother, and she feels that she can use it.
Nice.
So I'm going to install it on a drive for her and swap out her Windows drive for Mint 19, and she's going to play with that for a month.
Nice.
That's cool.
I forced my dad to start using Linux Mint. It was funny. Yeah.
I just installed MX on my mom's laptop, and she's liking that. So
nice.
Well, I'll be traveling 2,100 miles on Thursday night, Rocco, to Mum's place. I'll be spending a week over there. So I will be probably looking at installing something on my brother's laptop because he's not happy with how Windows is running on there. So
but that's not exactly hopping though, Colin. That's tech work for the community.
Yeah, that's helping. Yes. But Colin, can I make a suggestion for you?
Convert him.
Yeah.
GNOME, no extensions.
There you go.
It'll be definitely either Linux Mint or Ubuntu Budgie. I would say I might give to him. I'm not sure.
Yeah, those are good. Those are probably better choices. I guess.
Yeah, those are good.
To be honest with you, I would probably suggest Linux Mint.
Or heck, you might be able to try Zorin. I'm pretty sure it's gotten faster.
Yeah, I thought about Zorin, but I've made a multi-boot disk and Zorin's not booting from it, so I didn't travel too many USBs. So
yeah,
but we'll see how we go. But that'll be so. I may not even be on here next week. I'm not sure whether I can whether I'll be at home or what I'm doing. So
yeah,
but that'll be interesting.
I agree. The Mint. I don't really like Mint personally, but it is a pretty decent distro for the beginner.
Yeah.
It's got a lot of polish.
Especially if someone who's coming from Windows. But if it's coming from Apple, then I'm going to say use Elementary because it has that similar desktop.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Or GNOME, no extension.
But just to go back to Colin's statement a moment, let's not forget, guys, that his 2,100 mile journey, he's still within Australia.
Right. What?
Yeah.
He will just be from one town to another.
I mean, that ain't too bad. I mean, we
have like 5,000.
Yeah, I was going to say we have a lot.
We can do that here.
America is, when you look at America, it's a very big country, to be honest. But the difference with Australia is we're just surrounded by ocean. You know, so that's
and like murder floofs
and dial-up internet.
Yeah, all those things.
If you walk outside, something can kill you.
Everything has to kill you in Australia. Everything.
No, it's pretty safe over here.
Well, I just mean the animals. That you have every single possible thing that could kill you. It's just like, oh, well, there's a spider that can kill me. Oh, no, there's a snake that can kill me.
Yeah, very rarely see snakes unless you're living in the country. But yeah, spiders definitely. If I was to pull off a tile off my roof and look inside, you'd probably find a lot of redbacks.
Oh, yeah.
That's comforting.
As long as they live up there and stay out of my way, that's fine.
I agree with that completely.
And you sleep at night?
That's what I mean.
Of course.
I'm not.
I would remind me never to go to Australia.
Man, if a normal UK house spider legs it under the wardrobe, that wardrobe's getting dismantled until that thing's found and launched back out the window.
No, but I'm talking
way.
in between your inside roof and your outside roof, inside there. That's what I'm talking. There'd be a lot of spiders living in there. You don't really see redbacks in the house. The only ones that you do see are the white-tailed ones, which can be quite nasty as well. But I don't see many of them in Perth, but I used to see a lot in Melbourne. And
So
they like to live between your sheets and your clothing. That's not good. Redbacks don't.
How's the solar PV business going in Australia?
Solar, that's just a rip-off. Solar. It's going. They're looking at going battery now. They're talking batteries, and now anybody who jumped on the solar system is now getting ripped off by the government because they don't want to support it anymore and they want to go some other direction. So just the usual political crapola, really, when you think about it.
They should have a code of conduct.
Sure.
Yes. I don't want any of that to come here, Rocco, please, because I can just see Rocco saying, Colin, sign here. No dad jokes, please.
Michael would not be allowed.
That would be a travesty. No dad jokes.
You know what? Michael is not very inclusive when it comes to GNOME.
What? I like GNOME's workflow.
No extensions.
With no extensions.
All right, that's it. Everybody gets the last word. PZ?
Check out the next version of Destination Linux, which will be coming out noon Wednesday, Michael?
Sometime
yes.
Wednesday. Yes.
Wednesday, yes. I will say
24-hour period. Come on, let's tie you down.
Okay, you're right. Wednesday? So it will still be daytime?
Is that a question?
Oh, right, okay. I'll hold you to that then, yeah.
Yeah, daytime for me specifically?
Where? Yeah, okay.
That works.
All right, Dan?
I'm at a loss. I mean, I don't know what I'm going to do this week.
You're going to enjoy your operating system, Dan. That's what you're going to do.
He's going to try GNOME with no extensions.
No, I'm not trying that.
Nobody wants to try that.
Nobody. I'll get some. I got one person. There you go.
It'll be an
Thank you,
week.
Climate.
I feel sorry for you.
All right, Thomas, last word.
Try Draugar OS if you haven't already. Apparently, it's better than I thought it would be.
That's what you put on the back cover of a book. Better than I.
That's his new tagline on the website. Better than you thought it would be.
Better than you thought it would be.
All right, Colin, last word.
All right, I'm going to say it. GNOME with no extensions, not even a challenge, to be honest.
Wow.
What would you call it? Torture?
No.
Impossible.
It's too easy. Just try it. You'll get used to it. Just try it.
No, you won't get used to it.
Murder.
All right, Ali, last word.
Yeah, well, enjoyed the show as always, Rocco. Always a pleasure being here. And I'm going to make a video on my OS, about my OS, next week. So
there we go.
There you go.
Yeah.
See, Colin, it can be done.
Oh, I don't know.
Sistrum. Calling Sistrum last word.
He's chasing the kids.
We'll return. We'll come back.
Okay, we'll come back. Tuck stop. Last word.
He's taking a break.
Oh, I'm gonna continue using my Arch with GNOME. I might even delete the 2 extensions I have. Not a big deal.
You also have to delete. Do you have a custom theme or any custom icons?
I do have Numix.
Yeah, you got to go back to regular.
Yeah, add weight. He's got a
regular
Oh, yeah.
one.
Wait, on a side note, did you see that Elementary is changing their icon color from blue to tan? Really?
I mean, for the folders, it kind of makes sense because that's like the standard at this point.
Are we going backwards now?
I actually thought it was a nice change.
If they do Manila in the a nice gradient style would be fine. If they make it like
Adwaita?
If it was brown, it'd be bad if it was Adwaita, yeah. So it depends on how they do it. Like I think some of the stuff they're doing is good, and we'll have to see about the rest.
All right, Derek, last word.
Well, I guess this week I'm finally going to give i3 the attention it deserves. Ryan's been telling me about it all this time, so Manjaro i3 all week.
And you can make videos of it.
Yeah, I'm going to do that.
Nice.
Just don't use Ryan's scripts because he forgets to put the shift command, so you can't get out of i3.
Well, it's in there now.
Yeah, but I don't like pulling other people's stuff off of GitHub. You never know what you're going to get.
Yeah. Climby.
Life scripts are like a box of chocolates.
Why you want to read them?
Climby, last word.
Well, we'll see how the GNOME No Extension Challenge goes. You'll either not hear much from me next week, or you'll hear a long rant. So, one thing I will say about Adwaita, it's not the prettiest icon set to look at, but it's functional. So,
don't forget
that's
Climby.
also their tagline now.
That's not saying much for an icon set. Okay.
Decompetitor is not an extension. Decompetitor is not an extension, right?
No, you're right. It's not.
Not.
But he did say vanilla GNOME.
Okay.
So,
Vanilla, no.
Michael, last word.
Tuxdigital.com.
Slash.
That's all you need.
That's it.
Slash everything under the sun.
Silent, last word.
Thanks for inviting me on. I appreciate it. It's always enjoyable. And I'm happy I've still got 3 distros to switch between.
All right. Well, you'll have to come back next week and let us know how well that went.
I will do.
All right. System, last word.
Proton is power.
Proton is power, unless it updates.
Did
And
you
then it's
actually, if
frustration.
you think about it,
Even when it updates, it's still power.
and also just to make sure you know that Proton is always positive.
Oh.
Ooh.
Very cool.
New catch line on
That's
this
true.
website. Proton is always positive. There you go. New catchphrase.
All right. Last word for me is happy birthday to my dad. Thank you for everything you've done for me.
Yeah.
And check out Big Daddy Linux Live Telegram group if you haven't already. All right. We'll see you next week.
Peace.
See you later, guys.
Good night.